We shot the footage with a Blackmagic camera. Thanks again, Joanne. It's shot in a what looks like kind of like a raw kind of not filter, but like a raw style way. So there's not a lot of colors and there's a lot of dynamic range. The style it shoots doesn't necessarily look the best in camera, but what it does is it gives you a lot of options in post for really tweaking the colors and the lighting to your preference. It was fun to kind of work with that with the scenes from Eldred because we shot it during mid-September, which there was still a lot of like green on the trees and stuff, and to bring those out and bring out the colors in the clothes and stuff like that, it was fulfilling to see those colors and different lighting and stuff kind of come to life after only seeing the initial footage, because once you start coloring it and stuff like that, you really get a sense of what it looks like. And even before that, I had started putting together the scenes of the editing. What I did this time was that I would start with the conversation heavy scenes first, and that was good and bad, because the good was that I got it out of the way right away, and those are a big chunk of it, so I really got to see what it was like. And the bad of it is that when you're doing those first, you're like, oh, maybe there's not enough this, not enough that, like maybe there's not enough small talk in addition to the more heavy dialogue and stuff like that. But then once you finish and kind of put things all together, I saw how it all flowed and it felt kind of right. And yeah, it was nice to see everything come together, because with Highlands, like we were talking about before, we intended that at first to be just a straight short film, and we ended up breaking it into this mix of a website where it was part screenplay, part video clips, and it was interesting. I'm not like unhappy with that. It was interesting in its own right, and it showcased both Kevin and I's writing ability and shooting ability. So it kind of gave people a peek into our world in that sense, and that was great. However, I also wanted to have something that was just a straight short film, and that was a big goal for this in terms of just the general aim of the project, and to have that succeeded and completed was nice to have. And we definitely learned a lot from Highlands, which informed this and allowed us to be able to put it together more, and so that was nice. And with the score, I really wanted something very minimal, very guitar driven, very slow, and I didn't want it to like override the scenes or anything going on, because there's so much there and it's a quiet film. It's not meant to have an overbearing score, so I really wanted something just very simple to complement it, and so that's how it came out. Luckily we had Joel, aka Softlass, who's a friend of both Kevin and I's, who worked on it, and we were able to work together to achieve that sound and complement the film. He had scored a short film of his own prior called The Undiminished Sky, and that really impressed me, as well as his latest album. It wasn't just because he was a friend. I thought he really was able to capture that score.
So yeah, like the whole editing thing, I couldn't be part of it, sadly. Just after we were done shooting, I like went back to work, and I was like all the way out in Jersey. I didn't get to link with Jack for like, I'm gonna say like a month or so, so I hadn't seen any of the footage. He kept editing, he kept giving me like hints or screenshots, and I'm like, yo, send me this, send me that, but it's pretty hard when you're dealing with like 4 terabytes of footage, so I didn't get to see it until like a whole month later, when he had like a first edit of like the whole rough film. He had done some color correcting, some syncing and whatnot, so I was getting better view than just clips. And it was pretty impressive just to see like all these shots we've like been imagining or planning on seeing them all like big screen, high quality, like not just from a camera, and stepping our game up from like a DSLR. So that like made such a huge difference. But yeah, like overall, comparing it to like Highlands, which is like what we go back to because it was like our first experience shooting something bigger. I was kind of like afraid to see what we had done just because when we shot Highlands, a lot of it didn't flow well. For those reasons, we had to like find a way to work around it. But with this one, I was kind of hoping that didn't happen. Like, we wanted to make this a film, and after seeing everything, the acting, colors came out right, all the shots. Not that we didn't do any mistakes or anything, but it was just like a relief to see it. So, not just excitement, but like a relief to see it all come together somewhat or pretty close to how we really wanted it to be. It was pretty good to see.